A world-famous road course, fast cars, hard-charging rookies. It all sets up for a sensational season opener, the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama.
It's the world's most successful one-make series. Canada is where the GT3 Cup concept began, and now this new, young crop of racers, mixed with a solid field of veteran road racers, strive to compete for the 2019 Porsche GT3 Cup Championship. Get ready for the power and elegance of Canada's finest road racing series. Hello and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as TSN brings you the opening round of the 2019 Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada, presented by Yokohama. I'm Dave Bradley. Along with me is former GT3 Cup champion Daniel Morad, and Todd Lewis is trackside. The season is once again starting here at Canada's home for motorsport. And with more on today's race, let's send it down to Todd.
It's a bit of a surprise pole sitter for our season opener here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Jeff Kingsley back in the series this year. He is quickest. He will start on pole position. Parker Thompson alongside on the front row. The very speedy Roman DeAngelis we were expecting tried a strategy move during qualifying. It backfired. He will start 14th and expect him to be charging hard.
And that will be the story that we'll be watching in the early portion of this race. That Mark Motors number 79 of Roman DeAngelis is expected to be quick, but as Todd mentioned, he rolled the dice in qualifying.
Yeah, he's been quick all through practice. Roman really was the class of the field. He topped the time charts for most of the practice sessions, but in qualifying, you make a decision, a strategy call, and you really want to wait a little bit of time, but there is a risk that a red flag can come out and stop the session. Unfortunately, Roman didn't get his time in when he did go for his push lap, which would have given him maybe a 10th or 2 as the track was heating up through qualifying. But yeah, starting from 14th, very difficult for him. Qualifying is everything in this single make series.
And for the fans here today at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, a beautiful sunny day, and they'll be able to watch a very, very exciting race and a good field of healthy race cars. We'll have a number of onboard looks to watch this race from, including from the 84 of Perry Bortolotti in the Mark Motors entry. Let's take a look at this 10-turn course here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. A number of great passing locations, aren't there, Daniel?
Yeah, for sure. Turn 1 is going to be the key to the race. The start is everything. You want to make sure you have a really clean start. Close the door into turn 2, and then the race will start to settle down as you go through 3, 4, but look for another passing opportunity, 5, A and B. That's where Roman's probably going to be looking for some overtakes.
Well, let's take a look at today's starting lineup. On pole is Jeff Kingsley. To the outside of him will be Parker Thompson in the 3. The row number 2 has Alan Metney in the 99, Michael Fanton, driver of the number 14. Looking back to row 3, Marco Cerrone in the 88, Michael DeMeo in the number 96, new ride for him this year. Row number 4 is Sean McKaig in the 34, Jean O'Day drives the number 67. Row number 5 is Sam Fellows in the number 35, a Gold Cup car, and Perry Bortolotti, driver of the 84. Ethan Simeone in the number 40, and Patrick Dussault drives the 77. That's row number 6. Row number 7 is Mark Raymond in the 30. Roman DeAngelis in the 79. He'll have a long way to go. Row number 8, Etienne Bourget in the number 2, and Martin Harvey in the 08. Unfortunately, Harvey will not make the green flag here today. We'll ride on board with Sam Fellows in that Gold Cup car, the 35. He has his dad's 1990 FAF paint scheme here today. Let's do a little throwback. This is cool footage.
Turn 5 is definitely much different nowadays than it was back then.
But still a very racy series, just different Porsches racing as we're in the GT3 Cup cars, and these ones are a lot of fun. Michael Fanton, a very improved driver from 2018. He won the Spirit of Speed Award in 2018, awarded that award at the banquet, and looking to improve here in 2019. But the field has doubled up into turn number 8. It's a 45-minute timed race here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Jeff Kingsley and Parker Thompson on the front row. Kingsley, the first time he has ever sat on pole, and Parker Thompson, the first time he's ever been here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in a Porsche GT3 Cup car.
And you can see they're still trying to get a little bit of brake temp. It's a cool day. They're trying to get as much temperature in those front tires to activate them for turn 1.
Great field of cars slowly working off turn number 10. There you can hear the RPM starting to pick up. We're looking for green, and we are underway in the 2019 season here in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama.
Great start by Kingsley. He got the early jump, exactly what he needed to do into turn 1. Now he has a clear shot into turn 2 with no pressure behind.
Single file in through turn 2 for the first time as we ride on board the Porsche Center North Toronto entry of Michael Fanton.
See, everyone's very, very sensible. First race of the year. They're all trying to get through and get at least a few laps under their belt before the racing action starts to pick up.
Very cool to see those Porsche Low Zone, Porsche Rive Sud entries of both Patrick Dussault and Etienne Bourget.
You can see Sam Fellows, he just got a little wiggle into turn 4. It's very challenging when the Yokohama tires are cold, especially on a cool day like today. It's going to take a few laps to build up the temperature and get the overall grip level that you need. But you can see these guys, they are flat out up the back straight here. They're going to be facing turn 8 for the first time.
Kingsley flashes by on the Andretti straightaway for the first time, able to open up a little lead, and here comes Perry Bortolotti in the Mark Motors number 84. Those Mark Motors chrome and green cars. Bortolotti and DeAngelis look very, very similar.
Great look up the inside there, though. And one thing to note, the Masters drivers, they have ABS. Look at that. So Perry back, he's up.
That's Marco Cerrone in 30, manages to duck underneath Alan Metney in the 99. So give third spot to Marco Cerrone. But you mentioned the Masters drivers, and that's 2 of them battling.
That is Marco Cerrone, Alan Metney. They are both Masters drivers, and one thing to note is they both have ABS on board those Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars.
And there's those Lozo Autosport entries of Dussault and Etienne Bourget. Cool paint jobs on those cars here for 2019. And as a matter of fact, the 77 of Dussault has a lion on the front. He calls the car Simba.
And Etienne, he's getting racy. He's trying to get up the inside of O'Day there. But no can do. O'Day shut the door in 5B, and now they're going to have a drag race up the straight.
Roman DeAngelis catching the draft from Jean O'Day in the number 67. The Grand Hotel Times owner is actually a businessman and real estate developer. Now he can add race car driver to his list of credentials as well.
He's doing a great job. Oh, and Dussault looks down the inside. You notice in the background there, Roman couldn't find a way by, but he's going to, he just did. He just dove down the inside of turn 10 and made quick business of that.
Sean McCaig just ahead in the FAF entry, the 34th. We ride on board. Perry Bortolotti taking a look outside of turn 2. That's a risky move.
Perry, he had to get out of the throttle there. What happens when you get really close to the back of another one of these Porsches? Oh, wow, they're getting racy here. But when you get really, really close to the rear bumper, the air actually comes off that front splitter, off the front, that black strip along the bottom of the car. It actually loses, it takes away a lot of front grip.
Problems for the 96, so Michael DeMeo falling off the pace in the open road racing entry. And again, we mentioned this is the first time this season behind the wheel of a new ride for Michael DeMeo. And he is slowing down the back straightaway, so it looks like issues early on.
That's unfortunate. It's a great ride he picked up with the open road group out west. Very happy for him. He had a strong season last year, but unfortunate start to his season.
The best line group maintaining that car, also maintaining the Mark Motors entries here and there. You see Roman DeAngelis tucked in behind the 2 Lozo Autosports, Perry Bortolotti in the 84 just up ahead. Now Bortolotti making a move on Sean McCaig. McCaig's going to close the door. McCaig is a veteran racer. He's won the championship in the Gold Cup here in 2011 and 2016. Moved up to the Platinum class and will compete the full season here in 2019.
He's come back with a lot of motivation. I mean, he's holding down P5, and he's doing a solid job keeping these guys behind him.
Battle for second spot, Marco Cerrone, another Mark Motors entry. That one a little different than the other two. You see the green nose on that car as the top three really have stretched out now over the rest of the field. And this is kind of the glut of the rest of the field. You have Sean McKeag, and there you have the 96 of Michael DeMeo, who was in that mix for a little while. He's on pit lane, the engine's off.
Yeah, it looks like game over for him. They're checking the front of the car. It looks like, I'm not sure what they're checking there.
Yeah,
maybe damage on the front end.
They were looking for something. Michael DeMeo out of nearby Richmond Hill, Ontario. A lot of family and friends in the crowd here today. They were hoping to put on a good show. Still a battle for sixth spot between Sean McKeag and Perry Bortolotti. Now you have Patrick Dussault in the 77 jumping up and joining that fight. Dussault tucks in behind in turn number 9. Bortolotti just in behind on the exit of turn 10 as well. Turn 10 really has changed and has developed into a decent passing location, hasn't it?
It sure has. I mean, it's a very wide entry, and one thing to notice on the exit of turn 10, there's an extra little bit of tarmac or pavement that you can utilize. So you can roll a lot more speed than you used to. And it seems like every time I come back to CTMP, there's just a little bit more asphalt, a little bit more real estate to use on the exit of that corner.
Right on board, Roman DeAngelis as he continues to work over the back bumper of Patrick Dussault. We're 5 laps in. We'll be back on TSN. The opening round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama is brought to you by Porsche and by Chopard. There is your race leader, Jeff Kingsley, followed by Parker Thompson. Marco Cerrone holding down third, and those three really have opened up a gap. Look, there's nobody in behind for a little while.
Yes, and one thing to note, Thompson on that last lap was 0.3 of a second quicker than Kingsley in front. So maybe it's just one of those moments in the race where Kingsley opened up a big lead in the beginning, but Thompson's starting to catch back up.
We should see, you can see the nose of the number 99 I-Fly entry of Alan Metney. He's the only driver in the field from the United States, and he will run the full season here in Canada and the U.S. Cup this year.
And to be honest, he's doing an unbelievable job. With very, very limited experience, he's running right up there with some of the best drivers in Canada. And I know his driver coach, Andrew Davis, is working very hard with him. He's an IMSA veteran, done a great job so far.
Quick ride on board with the Porsche Center Victoria number 3, Parker Thompson from Red Deer, Alberta. There is your race leader, though, from Ajax, Ontario, Jeff Kingsley, his second season, and this time picking up brand new sponsor for the 2019 campaign in Liqui-Moly. Still this battle for 6th, though. Perry Bortolotti, you got Patrick Dussault, Roman DeAngelis, Etienne Bourget, and Sean McKeag. They have all been in each other's spaces, really, since the drop of the green.
Yeah, you saw Etienne just sneak up the inside of Sean McKeag. That's a passing opportunity in turn 10 that we never really mentioned at the top of the show, but as long as you open up your steering angle out of turn 9, you can dive straight down to the apex of turn 10, get the job done.
And one driver who is out early is standing by with our Todd Lewis. Todd?
That's right, guys. The team is looking at the car, but Michael DeMeo has already exited, done for the day. Michael, what happened to put you out so quickly?
It appears that a stone or some object went through the front end and punctured the rad. So at first I thought it was a car ahead of me leaking oil or something. And then once I found that he was still able to go and I had a lot of understeer, that something else was wrong. So we came in and found that there was some damage, but it's a shame because we had a lot of pace and we were, running in the top 4, and I was looking to make a move to get into 3rd, but it's just unfortunate, and that's racing. But the best line guys put together an awesome car all weekend, so far this weekend, and we're going to be coming tomorrow.
Thanks, Michael. An unfortunate series of events as Michael DeMeo exiting the car early.
While we're watching that, Parker Thompson in the 3 put in the fastest lap of the race so far. So the Vancouver Island Motorsports Porsche Center Victoria entry is starting to close that gap.
As I mentioned a little bit earlier, he's been chipping away at that lead, 1/10 of a second per lap, and that's all it takes in the single make series. 1/10, 1/10, just keep chipping away. By the end, you put some pressure, maybe the guy in front makes a mistake.
And really, for a driver like Thompson, who's in an unfamiliar car, he's been racing some GT3 Cup series in the US, but never here at Canada and never here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's all about building confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Parker does have a lot of experience. He's been in the single-seater ladder system in America for the last few years, and yeah, repetitively in some championships over there.
On board with Roman DeAngelis, who's worked his way up to 7th position now after starting 14th on the grid. Let's ride on board and see DeAngelis at work.
See Roman a little bit more confident on the entry to 8. He's letting the car open up a little bit before diving down to the apex. And you can see how he closes in on the back of Dussault, just attacking a little bit more. He's going to be right on the back bumper of Dussault in just a few corners here.
And I guess the beauty of this series, too, on these Yokohama tires is you really can attack most of the time. You don't have to worry about wearing these tires out, do you?
Exactly. The Yokohama rubber does last for the duration of these races. If you take care of your tires, 45 minutes shouldn't be an issue. But with these new, the 991.2, the second generation Cup cars, they have a lot more torque than the Gold class car that Sam Fellows you saw earlier is running in. You can light up the rear tires and overheat them. So you do have to manage, but you can go the distance if you manage your tires well.
It's 485 horsepower out of these 3.8 liter 6-cylinder Boxster engines. There is Sam Fellows. You see the Gold Cup car going by, the yellow mirrors, yellow headlights just ahead of these Platinum Cup cars. Your race leader, Kingsley, then Parker Thompson, Marco Cerrone, that's the top 3. Alan Metney still holding on to 4th in the iFly 99.
You can see the interval time on the top left of your screen. It is seesawing a little bit. The gap was down to about 1.8, 1.7. Now it's back to 2 seconds. So they are playing a little bit of a cat and mouse game. I mean, Jeff is finding some pace from lap to lap.
And there it is. Parker Thompson has chipped into that lead after turning a lap 0.4 of a second quicker than Jeff Kingsley in the 16. That's a good look at Ethan Simeone out of Burlington.
Oh, and do you see that?
Yes,
it looked like Fanton
off in turn number 10. Michael Fanton in the 14 goes for a loop in turn number 10. Simeone's going to take over 10th position around the 34 of Sean McKagan. There is the Porsche Center North Toronto, number 14 of Michael Fanton.
That's unfortunate. He was having a great race. He was uncontested in P5, just running his own race. Let's see what happened.
Riding on board the driver in the 14. It's the exit of turn 9. That's the wall on the entrance of turn number 10.
Yeah, it's a tough corner. You're rolling so much speed through turn 9. It looks like he just got a little bit of oversteer in, overcorrected, and the car snapped on him. It's actually quite surprisingly easy to do with the rear engine. You have so much momentum and a pendulum effect, essentially, that if you're not quick enough to save the car on the first correction, it just grips, and it rips.
Unfortunately, a great-looking livery on that car, too, here for 2019. Michael Fanton will be back for the rest of the season as he pulls it down pit lane. On board now with Sam Fellows in the Gold Cup entry. Down the back straightaway. And Fellows just trying to get some seat time here today. A rookie in the GT3 Cup Challenge, and he didn't want to set the world on fire here today. He just wanted to keep his nose clean and get some laps in.
Exactly. He's going to be doing the crossover races with the U.S. Championship, where they have a quite stout field in the Gold class. So his main target, speaking to him earlier in the weekend, is to really compete against those Gold class competitors over in the U.S. series.
I asked him, too, if he was leaning on his dad for advice. He says, oh, yeah, Dad's around all weekend. Jeff Kingsley continues in control in the Speed Fest presented by Castrol here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And this is a great place to watch today's action, as onlookers watching the race from the Porsche Chopard VIP suite here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And that is what they're watching, the 79 of Roman DeAngelis, who is tucked up in behind the number 77 of Patrick Dussault. That's a battle for fifth. We knew it was going to be tough for DeAngelis to make his way up from the 14th starting spot. Historically here in this championship, we get very few full course yellows. DeAngelis could really use one right about now.
He certainly could. I'm sure he wouldn't be opposed to that right now to close the gap up to the top three, but you know, he closed in on the back of Dussault here, but he's having a hard time. As he starts to make his way further forward in the field, he's going to be faced with a little bit more difficulty with the level of competition. And guys like Dussault, it's not their first rodeo. They know what they're doing behind the wheel, these Porsche GT3 Cup cars.
And take nothing away from Patrick Dussault. He's done his work here today as well. He started all the way back in 12th. Much like Roman DeAngelis, he's had a lot of people to pass to get to this point. There you see Sam Fellows a lap down just ahead of this battle for fifth spot, so he could play a role here.
Yeah, Dussault, you saw him flashing the headlights, trying to let Sam know, hey, I'm here, let me by. He's feeling the pressure from behind. In this situation, it's difficult. You have Roman breathing down your neck.
Another driver who is out of this one is standing by in pit lane with our very own Todd Lewis. Todd?
Michael Fanton has exited the car. Michael, that's just an unfortunate set of circumstances that's knocked you out of this one.
Yeah, you know what? We had a tough break. The car was getting a little loose in the last lap, and it kind of just kicked me right around in 9 and put us out for the day. So hopefully we're back tomorrow and we'll have a better day. But it is what it is.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, where he went around, it's a concrete barrier, no tire wall there, so damage gets ramped up, unfortunately.
You can see how disappointed he was. He was on for a great showing. I mean, he's had unbelievable progression from last year's first season, essentially racing in 2018, to what he's done, you know, qualifying, I believe, 5th place for this race. It's just unbelievable how far he's come in such a short amount of time.
And picking up new backing on the 14 car from Porsche Center North Toronto. No doubt he'll be back stronger than ever throughout the season here in 2019. DeAngelis sucks up to the back bumper of the Lozo Autosport number 77 of Patrick Dussault.
Little lockup.
Dumping the gears in turn number 8. Yeah, Dussault's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, Roman, he's hungry now. You can see his eyes through that tinted shield. He really wants this position. He's not going to stop until he gets it.
It's hard to believe Roman DeAngelis is still a teenager, isn't it? I mean, he's now entering his 3rd season of GT3 Cup Challenge Canada action, winning the Gold Championship his first week out, and of course running very strong in his first season Platinum Cup, back this year as a favorite to win the championship.
Hey, he's definitely the favorite. He's shown brilliant speed throughout his his duration or his stay in the GT3 Cup series. But he really is mature beyond his years. You can see that when he's off the track. I mean, he has focus, determination. He really does work hard. He goes into the Porsche trailer, works with the engineers. He puts in that extra bit of effort. You can tell he's going to be a future pro.
And he gets to be a kid next week, too. He's got his high school prom, which everybody looks forward to, don't they?
That's fun. I never got to make mine. I was away. I was in Europe.
You were racing,
yeah.
So there you go. Roman DeAngelis gets to enjoy prom with the rest of his high school friends next week. But here today, he is a race car driver. As Jeff Kingsley has now opened up almost a 2.5-second lead on Parker Thompson in 2nd spot. Marco Cerrone still holding down 3rd position. Roman DeAngelis and Patrick Dussault continue to fight it out. That's a battle for 4th. Dussault sitting in 4th spot. DeAngelis wanting it. There's the lead. The Liqui-Moly number 16 of Jeff Kingsley has opened up with support this season from Porsche Center Oakville in the Polycaro Motorsport number 16 entry, and very smooth through turn number 3.
You know, speaking of the Porsche Center Oakville, the Polycaro entry, this is their first season as a standalone effort. So it just goes to show you all these Porsche dealers in Canada are really taking the initiative on themselves. They're you know, having mechanics from within their dealer group. They're breeding them They're creating their own teams. It's unbelievable. Nowhere in the world does this happen except for in Canada. We're really setting a precedent for global GT3 Cup competition.
Great to get the mechanics involved too, because you see just how tested these cars can be, and you can see how durable they are too.
You know, the beauty of these GT3 Cup cars is that they're very similar to your road-going GT3, GT3 RS, very similar to work on. So these technicians that are working in the Porsche centers across Canada or in the world can easily transition from working on your everyday road car to the race car, and it just goes to, you know, it kind of reinforces the Porsche structure. You know that you're going to get quality when you go to service your car. You're getting race technicians servicing race cars and road cars.
Pretty neat thing indeed, and now we can see the interval at the front of the field is down under 2 seconds. Parker Thompson has started chipping away at that lead built up by the 16 of Jeff Kingsley once again. We still have lots of racing to go here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Once again, riding on board the Mark Motors number 79 of Roman DeAngelis in this battle for 4th spot. He's been in this position lap after lap, but unable to get around the 77 of Patrick Dussault up in the slipstream and out to the outside. That's not a bad move in turn number 8.
You can definitely make that move work if you are far enough alongside the outside. You can hold the car down to the apex of turn 8, but now he looks down the inside, turn 10, there it is, wheel to wheel.
Contact between DeAngelis and Dussault. Dussault jumps in the grass, but he manages to hang on to it. He'll tuck back in behind the 79, but a change for 4th spot as looks like DeAngelis just got tired of waiting. He saw a small opening and decided to go for it.
That's a proper race car driver. You see an inch and you take it. I mean, he went for that gap. It closed up. You know, Dussault saw it coming. He closed the inside, but at that point they were wheel to wheel, and yeah, Roman forced his way through there.
Even while racing as hard as they did, they managed to close to the 3rd place driver, Alan Menning. Another look at this pass.
You can see what I said earlier. Just open up the hands a little through 9, come off the rear bumper, and dive down to the apex in 10.
DeAngelis had his hands full as well. That car almost snapped around.
Great save. Quick hands.
So a tire mark on the door, the Mark Motors number 79, but we stay under green now, under 20 minutes remaining in this 45-minute timed race. The season opener for the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. DeAngelis isn't done. This is a battle now for 4th spot. Metney in the I-Fly number 99 looked at his mirror and he said, yeah, you know, he's got that spot.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Alan and Roman, they're teammates in the U.S. Series for Kelly Moss Racing. So I don't think Alan made it too difficult for Roman. He saw him coming. He said there's no point to fight this battle. Let him go through and, you know, try to salvage good finish for today.
And we mentioned, too, that the race within the race, Alan Metney competing in the Masters Championship here in 2019 in the Canadian and American Series. He'll be up alongside the 88 of Marco Cerrone, Perry Bortolotti, Sean McKaig, all racing in the Masters Championship. You mentioned that they have the ability to run ABS. Not all of them do, but most of them choose to run the ABS. But essentially, the only other difference is their age.
Yeah, exactly. You have the ABS system on board these Cup cars. It's very challenging to brake with all the weight over the rear axle, essentially with the rear engine of the 911. You're unloaded in the front. There's no weight in the front or across the front tires. So locking up the front tires, you haven't seen it much today as these guys are getting to grips with the cars now. But the ABS certainly does help. When you have, let's say, a little less experience or you're a gentleman racer, it does help you have that comfort to brake later, to attack the corner more compared to these young guns like Roman, Jeff Kingsley out in front.
Look at that, though. Jeff Kingsley is still out in front, the Liqui Moly number 16, but the 3 of Parker Thompson is coming. The lead is now under 1 second. Parker Thompson, we mentioned, brand new to the GT3 Cup Challenge in Canada. He already has a win under his belt in the U.S. Cup, as Alan Metney, the only American driver in the field, has dropped a spot to the 77 of Patrick Dussault as Dussault climbs into 5th position. We talk about Parker Thompson, a Canadian from Red Deer, Alberta, and then Roman DeAngelis also racing in the American Series full-time this year. DeAngelis has 3 wins. Parker Thompson has 1 win out of 4 races. Canada seems to do really well when they travel to the U.S.
Year after year, you look back, Scott Hargrove, Zach Robichon, I mean, Canada's producing some talent. Now, you know, Roman DeAngelis, he's won, like you said, 3 of the first 4 races in the U.S. Parker, he won the other one, so that's Canada, full sweep of the U.S. Championship so far. You mentioned Parker did win the race. That was in the wet, very challenging conditions at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And actually, that's one of the reasons why a driver like Alan Metney has decided to come up and race in Canada, because he kept seeing these Canadians coming down to the U.S. and beating everybody. So he said, if I want to make myself better, I'm going to go up north and race against the best.
And the cap is closed right up. That looks, it's about half a second now.
That's
Parker,
exactly it.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure now on Jeff. And at this point in the race, with 16 minutes to go, I mean, if you haven't taken care of your rear Yokohama tires, you're seeing Jeff, he's starting to slide through 5A, up through 5B. He's going to have his hands full for the remainder of this race. This is just under 16 minutes to go. That's his mirrors are going to be full of Parker for these last few moments.
Jeff Kingsley has never been in this position before. He's never led this late in the going in a Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge event, either in Canada or the U.S. He's 4th in point standings in the U.S. with top 5 finishes in all 4 rounds so far. He's never tasted victory lane yet. Will today be his day? He's got some work to do to hold off a hard-charging Parker Thompson.
Jeff Kingsley's done an amazing job all race long. He's composed himself. It all started with the beginning of the race. He had a commanding start, controlled the pace in the middle. Let's see how he does in these last moments. This is where it all counts. This is where you can win it or bin it. So, I mean, Jeff, he's gonna have his hands full. His mirrors are full already with Parker. Parker has a lot of experience. As I mentioned earlier, he's been, you know, he's almost a veteran now of the single-seater ladder system in the U.S., and he's transitioned to sports cars as he sees this is his best avenue to keep his career going and to have a successful long-term career. So, you know, he's dabbling. This is the best single-make series for sports car racing. It produces talent, and you know what they say, people throughout the paddock, if you can drive a GT3 Cup car, you can drive anything.
Well, Jeff Kingsley showing that he can, in fact, do that, as he has led since the initial drop of the green. But if you look back to 3rd spot, the flash of green just in behind, that's the Mark Motors entry, the number 88 of Marco Cerrone. He's not that far behind as well. He's 2.5 seconds back the last time they crossed the line. But this is really a 3-car grouping at the front of this field now, with 14 minutes left to be completed here in the opening round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. The teams are watching on. We'll take you to the finish coming up after this. Welcome back to a beautiful day here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, just outside of Toronto, Ontario in Bowmanville. Thousands of fans here this weekend, and they're being treated to quite a race. There is your lead pack. You can see Jeff Kingsley with Parker Thompson on his tail and Marco Cerrone not too far behind, as the field looks at the back end of some lap traffic as well.
Yeah, this is the most stressful time in the race. When you come up to lap traffic, when you know there's pressure from behind, you have to manage more than just your speed. There's cars in front, cars behind. You're trying to drive the thing as quick as possible. People don't realize it's not your drive on a highway, a regular drive in a straight line. There's a lot to manage and a lot of pressure.
Driver from Quebec just ahead of this lead group is the 67 of Jean Audet in his first season running here in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. And there you can see the leaders have caught the lap car and will try to work around Jean Audet. And we've got a problem. The 30 goes around Mark Raymond from Cornerbrook, Newfoundland, the only driver out of Newfoundland in the field driving for Sports Car Boutique. Goes around in turn number 3, manages to keep the engine fired, and He will rejoin the field. Doesn't appear to be too much damage to that entry. Kept it off the wall anyway.
Yeah, he did a nice job. It looks like he just lost it in the exit of turn 2, and he was along for the ride going into turn 3, but yeah, like you said, managed to keep it off the wall, and he'll live another day. One fun fact about Mark Raymond, he's a Masters driver, but he's actually opted to not use the ABS system. So he wants to learn to master the brakes and the technique without having that anti-lock brake system assistance.
Cool livery on that sports car boutique entry as well. The old Lotus colors. A little bit of a throwback here in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada as Marco Cerrone now works around O'Day in the 67. Cerrone sitting in third. This is your top 2 though. And what's good for Jeff Kingsley is he's managed to keep Parker Thompson essentially at the same interval. It's been about 4/10, 3/10, 5/10 on differing laps, but Kingsley, who lost significant ground going from a 2-second gap to nearly nothing, has managed to hold him off a little bit easier in these last few laps.
Exactly. There's a lot of factors to manage in this race. There's tire pressure. That's a key factor in the single make series. If you start with a little bit higher tire pressure, you can open up that gap. The tires come up to temperature and pressure sooner. You can eke out a margin. But then later in the race, you have pressure from behind as the guy behind you with lower pressure can come in and literally have better tire life.
Ethan Simeone, a battle for 8th spot with Etienne Bourget, a veteran. As a matter of fact, Bourget broke a record in 2018 for most Canadian Grand Prix podiums in one weekend. He had 4, 2 overall and 2 in the Platinum Masters. So when you're a young driver like Ethan Simeone and you're racing against somebody like Etienne Bourget, you know you're learning a lot with each and every lap.
And with Ethan, you mentioned he's learning. He is in that learning phase. It's his first GT3 Cup weekend. It's very challenging. These cars are quite unique. You have the rear engine. You're never really going to feel anything like this in any other form of motorsport. It's hard to manage weight transfer, weight balance, and also having no anti-lock brake system. It's a big challenge, and with this course, with all the elevation changes you see as they go up through turn 5A and B, it's extremely difficult to get the braking spot on without locking that inside wheel. And every time you lock up that wheel, you create a flat spot in the surface, right? So the anti-lock brakes really help in that situation. You don't want to have that flat spot, because what happens every time the wheel rotates, it stops on that same flat spot.
And Thompson takes a look to the inside of Kingsley. Can't make it stick, though. In turn number 8, he had quite the run down the Andretti straightaway, but had to cut on, and there's a big wiggle. From your second place driver, Parker Thompson, he was right there, and look at that gap open up. He lost 0.2 of a second, maybe even more, with that one wiggle out of turn number 9. It looks like the front end moved, not the back end.
Yeah, you'll notice that that little strip along the bottom of the bumper, that has a huge aerodynamic impact on the car. Essentially, when you get in the rear bumper or the wake of the car in front of you, it takes all the air off that splitter and you lose the front grip.
Welcome back to the opening round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama at Speedfest weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I'm Dave Bradley along with Daniel Morad. Todd Lewis is trackside. This is the battle for the lead. Under 5 minutes to go. Jeff Kingsley continues out front from Ajax, Ontario. Parker Thompson from Red Deer, Alberta has been hounding him for the last several laps. He's been getting close, but has really only had one opportunity to get by as of yet.
Yeah, he's going to have a little bit of a challenge. You can see that great sportsmanship by Sean McKeag pulling over. He noticed the lead battles coming through. See Parker right up on the rear bumper of Jeff Kingsley now.
Sean McKeag in the FAF Porsche number 34. He is a veteran, as we mentioned, a former champion in the Gold Cup, and actually is being coached this weekend by NASCAR Pinty Series champion LP Dumoulin, a decorated road racer.
can learn a thing or two from him. He's won a few championships in the past, I would say.
Indeed, a few races here as Thompson clips the grass down the back straightaway and looks to the outside of Kingsley.
He was trying, and like I mentioned before, if you can get alongside through turn 8, you can hold the other car down, but didn't work that time.
Kingsley stronger through 9 and now 10 as he'll lead him onto the front straightaway once again. Now the difference is under 0.3 of a second. Marco Cerrone has managed to close the gap as well. He's 1.6 seconds back in third spot, leading the Masters Championship here this afternoon at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 3 minutes to go in this 45-minute timed race. Jeff Kingsley, a full-time student at Western University in London, Ontario, is right now your full-time race leader as he's led since the drop of the initial green.
He's doing a great job. He just needs to nail his exit at a 5B every time. Look how Jeff goes a little wider, rotates the car and squeezes on the power early. He gets that weight sitting over the rear tires and he opens up that gap. As long as he keeps doing that, he's really gonna make it hard for Parker to get relatively close or even close enough to go in turn 8 or in turn 10.
Parker was a little bit better the last time by, not able to get quite as good run this time down the Andretti straightaway. Look at Cerrone. You can see the flash of green from the Mark Motors entry just in behind in the 88. There he is there, so he's well within striking distance. Kingsley, Thompson, and Cerrone are top 3. As they head on to the front straightaway, there'll be 2 laps to go approximately as they cross the stripe that time by.
You can see late in the race, that extra downshift. Normally going through turn 2, you can hold 5th gear, but as the tires start to fatigue and they get hot, you have to go down that extra gear. It's like an engine brake. Think about you're driving in Canada, you're in the ice. Instead of braking, you just downshift that extra gear. It's like engine braking, slowing the car down from the back. It holds you back rather than decelerating you and putting the weight on the front.
Now Thompson hard on the brakes in 5A across the top of Moss Corner into 5B and onto the straightaway. That time Kingsley got a great drive out of turn number 5 and down the back straightaway once again. Cerrone, the veteran here, has been very patient and has been picking away and chipping away, closing the gap to the 2 race leaders.
Parker's pushing hard. You saw him have a little bit of an oversteer moment off of 5. He's pushing that throttle through the floorboard. He's trying everything he can to get as close as possible to Jeff's rear bumper. I mean, we're gonna have 1 lap to go here, and this is do or die for him.
Now there is the white flag indicating 1 to go here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Parker Thompson has been better than Jeff Kingsley in a few spots. Off of turn 5 and in through turn 9. That's where I've seen the 3 really able to close the gap in the Liquid Moly number 16. But Kingsley, through turn 2, through turn 3, he seems to be better than the driver out of Red Deer, Alberta.
He just needs to have a solid exit here. If he can go through turn 5B with a clean exit up the back straight, the Andretti straight, it's going to be difficult for Parker to have any opportunity for the win here, but let's see what happens.
Solid gap there for Kingsley on the entrance to turn 5. Nice and smooth on the exit, doesn't let the back end of that Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car wiggle down the backstretch. Kingsley is in control down the backstretch. The Andretti straightaway for the final time. Does Thompson have enough to make a move? This is where he's been good in coming into turn number 9. And it's not enough, not quite close enough. There he dives into turn 10, but he won't be able to make it stick. Market win number 1 in the opening round for Jeff Kingsley. Parker Thompson comes home second, and Marco Cerrone will round out the top 3.
That was a great drive by Jeff. Very composed, very mature drive.
We'll be back and have a chat with your race winner in Victory Lane. And there you see the winner in victory lane, Jeff Kingsley, for the first time here in the season opener, the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He'll thank his crew. And Daniel, you've been there before. Do you remember the first time at victory lane?
It's the best feeling. There's no way to describe it. I mean, you can see through his helmet, his eyes, it's showing pure joy.
Now we'll take a look at the final results. There you see Roman DeAngelis coming home in fourth, starting deep in the field. Alan Metney, a good sixth-place finish here. Etienne Bourget finishing in eighth. The latter half of the top 15. Sam Fellows, the only Gold Cup entry, coming home in 13th position here today. Let's go down to victory lane with Todd Lewis. Todd?
Jeff Kingsley is getting congratulations from his entire team. The enthusiasm visible on his face and the rest of the Bolligero Motorsports group. What a drive today. You were challenged from behind. That was a solid effort to come away with the checkered flag.
Thank you. Yeah, it was mentally and physically an exhausting race there. So look forward to getting to sleep tonight. But Bolligero guys, Porsche Center Ofil guys, and Liquid Moly guys all did a great job. So super happy to be on the pole and with the win this weekend, and couldn't start off any better than that, right? So super excited.
Important for thinking long-term in terms of championship, a solid effort, and a good points day to start the year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The championship's a long goal, and consistency is key, right? So got to keep finishing races, keep podium, and ultimately win some races.
Jeff Kingsley is the winner at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
What a season he's having early on. He's fourth in points in the U.S. and now tops in points here in Canada. And there you can see very similar to the finishing order here in race number one. Todd standing by with the driver from Red Deer.
Parker Thompson comes away with a second-place finish. You gave Jeff all he could handle, filling his mirrors, but couldn't quite get past him for that top spot.
Yeah, he drove a heck of a race, so congrats to him. Those guys did an awesome job this weekend qualifying on pole. They had a real good car early, but you know, we haven't had much track time this weekend. Slowly throughout the race, I started to figure things out, put it all together, and our sports car boutique Porsche Victoria car was awesome. The number 3 was on rails. If we had clean air, I think we would have pulled away and had the race win, but that's racing sometimes, so we'll get him the next one.
Still a solid second-place result for Parker Thompson.
Yeah, it's a great result. In this championship, points make prizes. You have to take the points where you can take them, and when you have the car or the opportunity for the win, you take the win.
Winner of the Masters class and a solid drive for the Mark Motors Group, standing by with Todd.
Marco Cerrone with a solid effort up on the podium and the winner of the Masters class today.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that, especially after what happened in qualifying. We tried to pull a few of our little tricks there, but obviously it didn't work. But we had a great start at the beginning, and I was clean going through, and I got lucky to pass, and I was keeping up. But those two kids in front of me, boy, Jeff and Parker Thompson, it was just, oh my God, they didn't make one mistake, and it was just, sometimes I'd catch them by 10th, and then they'd pull away, and it was a cat and mouse game, and I just couldn't keep their pace. But I'm really happy for third place, and hey, at 52, I'll take anything.
Solid result to start the season.
52, and he doesn't even look tired, but race number one featured just about everything. After qualifying, the big story was the 79 of Roman DeAngelis. He had to come through the field. We had a couple missteps over the course of the afternoon, and then a great battle at the front of the pack between the two young guns, as you heard Cerrone mention. DeAngelis eventually worked his way up into the top 5, and the win today goes to Jeff Kingsley. There is the president of Porsche Canada, Mark Wyoun, handing out the hardware. Jeff Kingsley will step on the top of the podium here today. The opening round of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada is brought to you by Porsche and by Chopard. Daniel, this race featured it all. It's an exciting start to 2019 for Daniel and Todd. I'm Dave Bradley. Thank you for joining us here from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.